Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode. In this episode, we're going to go over how we installed this triple crown, including the dental molding. And the first thing we did was created a jig. We created a jig to know our exact spacing. The only part that we did not record was the dental molding that was already installed and that we just helped finish because some of it was damaged. And that was only about 4.5 inches from the ceiling all the way around the room. Here I am gluing the pieces to the crown. I just cut some triangular 2x4 pieces to help hold up the third level of the crown, which is the top piece, to help hold it in place, to give us that angle and the correct spacing on the upper and lower parts for the install. And here I'm using the pin nailer to hold it together. And this will help, save you some time, and you're not overthinking about where to start. Because if we have the dental molding, I would just nail it to the bottom of the crown right there with an overhang, just enough to show the dental molding. And that top ceiling piece, it was very easy to install. It was just cut out of 45s at the corners. And I'm just putting some extra nails just to make sure that this jig doesn't move. So here I am placing the bottom on the dental molding, and the top piece I'm making sure that it's flat up against the ceiling. And I'm gonna go ahead and mark all my corners, inner corners and outer corners, just like that with a pencil. Even though the crown is not running all the way to the corner, it's still important that you mark it all the way in for this reason. We're gonna go ahead and put in a screw to run our chalk line, and this will help keep our pieces straight. You can't trust the wood or the ceiling, to run straight the entire time on the trim. So you pop a line and you just follow it. The wall can do whatever it wants to do, but you follow your straight line. And then I put inner blocks at every corner to give me my measurement for my third tier of the crown, which was a flat piece with the flat molding. And I'm just laser measuring. If you don't have a buddy with a measuring tape, you can use one of these laser measuring tapes. So I'm just measuring block to block because that's where my pieces are gonna 45 into. This was the main focus point of the room, and I just measured from outer block to outer block. And here I got the first molding piece set up, and it just falls into place. You just follow your lines. And to nail it, we're just using 1.25 inches, I believe, or 1.5 inches it was, to brad nail 18 gauge and pigeon toeing on the corners and the edges. And if you can, try to avoid shooting on the outer curves of the mold and shoot on the insides, just to help the paint guys, putty it real nicely. So I did that all the way around. Here you can see that it will 45 inward and then back outward. And all I'm doing is following my pencil lines and my chalk lines, which we made. So it helps it, go a whole lot easier. And it helps to have a block to beat your pieces into place, because, they like to twist around. So following the lines and, nailing a few brad nails in there and then hammering it will give it a little bit of play. So here I already went around the entire room with the top molding piece. It wasn't a big room, it was like an office space room. And here's the final piece of the puzzle. All right, so that's one step out of the way. Next, we're gonna jump onto our crown. We're gonna start measuring for our crown pieces. That's gonna rest on the dental molding. The laser would help as well, which I did use in some parts. So here I'm going to cut the crown, laying down on this video, just because of the saw I had and the way that I was running the whole house. I just decided to cut it laying down flat, especially because I was doing some corners on the house walls that were very, very off. And it just helps to cut it this way whenever you have irregular corners. That way at least you know that your cuts, are maintained. I always like to burn an inch whenever I'm measuring. So if I were to cut a 49-inch piece, I would burn an inch on the beginning and then cut it at 50. That way it gives me an exact point-to-point measurement wherever I do my pencil lines. Those are just 45s outwards. And another thing that helps is to go ahead and glue your pieces to your crown that are exposed outward, I guess you could say. That way you're not trying to fight them in the air. And this kind of helps you, skip a step and makes it a whole lot easier. And it also helps to find your true angles. Just careful when you're holding it, don't put your fingers too close to the point to where you're nailing, because some nails will come out and try to bite you. This is something that we tend to do a lot for kitchen cabinets as well. We like to nail our crown pieces or glue them. We glue them a lot, just glue them in place, just to help us give that extra, neatness. But in this case, this is all gonna get caulked and painted semi-gloss white. So now that we got our crown jig set up, we're just gonna go ahead and slide it into place. Sometimes it falls right just how you need it. Sometimes you gotta bang it a little bit, like we are here. And you just gotta play with it, side by side. We try to follow the dental molding, the original dental molding, as close as we could, but I'm not sure how, they installed it, so you may see, the dental molding, look a little different in some places. Then I just did 245 inwards on this piece to slide it in. Once I got to the very, very end and I wrapped the entire room, I just came to this single joint piece right here, which was the longest wall in the room. And I like to glue them just to help, the joint stay in place and hopefully, make it less visible. So once I nail my joint in, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I do my best to cover them and try to make that seam disappear, because everybody likes a seamless crown install. Even though these were 16 feet pieces, it was not long enough for that wall. So I did have to add a little piece. I just try to, make it away from the corner as much as I could. So after I nail it, I go ahead and put in some excess glue on the seam if I have any, gap. Just try to rub it in there real well. Once you rub it in there, I'm sanding it with like a 120 or 220 sandpaper, especially around those corners, and that extra dust or sawdust, primer dust, will actually help get into the curves or the gaps of the seam, and it'll help seal it really nice. Just make sure to sand it really good, because most painters, they just like to come, caulk, and paint. They don't take their time to sand these joints. So this is your chance to, give the customer a nice seamless joint. That's how it looks like sanded. Once it gets caulked, primed, and painted, that'll be hardly invisible, really invisible. This was the final piece of the puzzle right here. So to get this corner nice and tight, sometimes you have to hammer them inward or from the top down. But in this case, it came together really nice. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you like these videos. Let me know how I can help. Stay tuned. Like, subscribe, follow, and we'll see you on the next one. I appreciate it.